You ever see a guy walk into a room and just change everything? That's what happened when Conor McGregor showed up in the UFC. One fighter, one mouth, one left hand, and suddenly the whole fight game got flipped on its head. At first, it looked like hype, just another loudmouth trying to sell a fight. But what happened next? It wasn't just wild, it was unreal. The UFC was never the same again. Championship belts started to mean less. Trash talk started to mean more. And behind the scenes, there were some people who were loving it, and some who wanted him gone. But here's the crazy part. Some say he broke the UFC. Others say he's the reason it's even alive today. So what's the truth? Well, that's what we're diving into. And trust me, you've never heard it told like this. Let's take it back. Way back. Before the suits, before the yachts, before he was cashing 9-figure checks, there was just this skinny kid from Crumlin, Dublin, Conor McGregor. Born in '88, raised in a working-class Irish household, and yeah, they say he came into this world with clenched fists. Maybe that was a sign. Maybe the universe already knew. Now look, he didn't grow up in some combat sports dynasty. He was just another kid trying to find his thing. First, it was football. Big Manchester United fan. But that didn't last. Once he got a taste of boxing, that was it. Crumlin Boxing Club became his second home. And then came a life-changing moment. He walks into this MMA gym run by a guy named John Kavanagh, who at the time had no idea he just met the most notorious fighter on the planet. Conor jumps in, goes way too hard in a sparring session, and beats up 2 of Kavanagh's top guys. Kavanagh had to physically pin him down and say, "Bro, chill. This ain't a street fight." That's the kind of energy McGregor brought. Raw, wild, hungry. But here's the part most people skip over. While everyone else his age was out partying or picking careers, Conor was crawling under sinks as a plumbing apprentice. He was literally fixing pipes by day, throwing hands by night. 12-hour shifts, covered in grease, then off to train MMA in a freezing gym. No money, no spotlight. Just him and this crazy belief that he was meant for more. By the time the UFC signed him in early 2013, McGregor was already 12-2 and a 2-weight world champion in Cage Warriors. Marcus Brimage was first. Everyone thought Conor was just hype, until he flatlined Brimage in under a minute. Knockout of the night, $60K bonus. Then came Max Holloway, future champ, Iron Chin. And McGregor beat him on one leg with a torn ACL. Follow that with Diego Brando, Dustin Poirier, Dennis Siver. All of them got smoked. Fast, violent, confident. The left hand was landing. The suits were sharper. The trash talk was getting louder. He was on a mission, and the UFC had never seen anything like it. Every press conference became a show. Every stare down, a headline. McGregor wasn't just winning fights. He was taking over the game. And then came Chad Mendes. Short notice, real wrestler, legit threat. But it didn't matter. Conor walked through him, stopped him, and raised that interim featherweight belt like it was already his. With Chad out of the way, there was only one man left at featherweight. Jose Aldo, the undefeated king. 10 years without a loss. The pound-for-pound #1. But Conor wasn't impressed. From the very first press conference, things got heated. In Brazil, McGregor looked Aldo in the eye and said,
"I own this town. I own Rio de Janeiro."
The crowd was stunned. Aldo laughed it off, but he knew this wasn't going to be a normal build-up. When they took the world tour to Ireland, Aldo clapped back, "I'm the king of Dublin." Yeah, that didn't sit well with McGregor. At the press conference, Conor walked straight over, snatched the featherweight belt off the table, and held it in the air like he'd already won. Dana White had to physically step in to keep them from throwing hands right there. The fight finally went down at UFC 194. The build-up was massive. And then, 13 seconds, one punch, one counter. One of the greatest knockouts in UFC history. Jose Aldo's decade-long reign. Gone in less time than it takes to tie your shoes. McGregor didn't just win, he called it. That left hand did exactly what he said it would. And now, he had the featherweight belt. But he wasn't done. Instead of defending it, Conor moved up, chasing a second belt, chasing legacy. A fight with Rafael dos Anjos for the lightweight title was set, but dos Anjos broke his foot. The card was in jeopardy. Until one name stepped in, Nate Diaz. This is where things went off the rails. They booked it at welterweight, short notice, and the pressers were chaos. At one of them, McGregor smacked Nate's lead hand during the face-off. And just like that, It exploded. In the cage, it was worse. Conor started strong, but gassed out. Nate turned the tide and submitted McGregor in the second round. For the first time in the UFC, McGregor lost. The king had fallen, but instead of running from it, he ran it back. UFC 202, the rematch. McGregor showed up late to the press conference. Diaz got annoyed and left, cursing and throwing middle fingers as he walked out with his crew. And that's when Conor snapped.
You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the fuck out of here!
The tension boiled over. Nate threw a water bottle. Conor fired one back. Then more came flying. McGregor even grabbed a full table. Dana White had to shut the whole thing down. The fallout? $150,000 fine. Anti-bullying campaign, 50 hours of community service, and another warning from the Nevada Athletic Commission. But none of it stopped him. Later that year, McGregor set his sights on history again. This time against Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight title at UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden. And as always, the press conference was just as wild as the fight. McGregor showed up late, again, leaving Alvarez to get roasted by a pro-Conor crowd. Alvarez got so fed up, he walked off stage, but he left his belt behind. Big mistake. McGregor walked in, grabbed the belt, and placed it next to his featherweight title like it already belonged to him. When Alvarez came back, they nearly came to blows. McGregor even grabbed a steel chair and lifted it above his head, classic WWE style, before Dana jumped in to stop him. This time, Conor caught himself. He knew one more fine and he'd be in serious trouble. But all that hype? He backed it up. April 2018, Brooklyn. This is where things got truly out of control. It all started when Khabib Nurmagomedov cornered Artem Lobov, Conor's close friend, at a hotel during fight week. No punches, just intimidation. But it was a warning shot. 2 days later, Conor McGregor flew straight to New York. Not to fight, to retaliate. Conor and his crew, about 20 deep, stormed the Barclays Center looking for Khabib. They found him, but he was already on a fighter bus, surrounded by other UFC athletes. And that's when Conor lost it. He ran alongside the bus, grabbed a metal dolly, and threw it through the window. Glass shattered everywhere. Fighters like Michael Chiesa and Ray Borg were injured and pulled from their bouts. It was caught on camera. The footage went viral. Dana White called it disgusting. The NYPD issued a warrant. McGregor turned himself in. 3 counts of assault, 1 count of criminal mischief, $50,000 bail, 5 days of community service, anger management classes. And just like that, the wildest UFC press tour in history had begun. But here's the kicker. The same UFC that condemned it used it to promote the biggest fight of all time. The build-up was toxic.
Smash me!
Smash me!
I can smash
you say send location. Here it is, right here in front of you. I'm right in front of you.
It was personal, way beyond fighting. The fight itself, all Khabib. He mauled McGregor for 4 rounds, then finished him with a neck crank. But the war didn't end there. Khabib jumped the cage and went after Dylan Danis, Conor's teammate, who had been jawing from cage side. It was an all-out riot. Fans screaming, security swarming, chaos everywhere. The aftermath? Khabib suspended for 9 months and fined $500,000. McGregor got 6 months and a $50,000 fine. But at that point, the damage and the legacy were already carved into UFC history. But the legal drama? That was just the beginning. In 2019, the New York Times revealed that McGregor was under investigation for sexual assault in Dublin. That same year, in Miami, he smashed a fan's phone, was arrested for robbery and criminal mischief, but settled out of court. Then came the viral pub punch, where he hit an elderly man for refusing his whiskey. He was fined 1,000 euros after pleading guilty, and it didn't stop there. In 2020, he was arrested in Corsica on suspicion of attempted sexual assault. Detained, released, no charges. In 2021, he lost to Dustin Poirier.
There was no check. There was not one of them I checked. Your wife is in me DMs. Hey, baby, hit me back on.
All while sitting on the canvas with a broken leg, Conor McGregor had become more than just a fighter. He was a walking contradiction. On one hand, a global icon with private jets, custom suits, and whiskey deals. On the other, a trail of court dates, lawsuits, and shattered relationships. He wasn't just testing opponents in the cage, he was testing the world's patience. Every scandal should have been the end. Every arrest, a nail in the coffin. But every time he spiraled, the cameras zoomed in closer. He didn't play the game, he rewrote it. While the UFC raked in millions, something dark was bubbling underneath. Fighters were getting sidelined. The rankings? suddenly didn't matter. Merit? Out the window. It was all about money fights. All about McGregor. So yeah, he broke the system. But somehow, he saved it too. So, what do you think? Legend? Villain? Or both? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the deep dive. And subscribe if you want more raw, unfiltered stories from the fight world.